Of historic importance which men and women and children will honor throughout all time.
Words well spoken. Okay, pilots. I got my new wheels here for my B-2 Spirit LX model. I've got this side over here put on. Let's see if you can, I'll zoom in so you can see it better.
In the Ardennes forest near the Belgium-German border, almost 250,000 German troops, spearheaded by 600 tanks.
Now they are a little close. What I might have to do is take a piece of sandpaper and stick it in between them and turn them and just kind of shave them a little bit.
His last chance to change the tide of a losing war.
But LX model
Thinly spread and undersupplied,
has a little nut on each side here and got a set screw in the center there to lock the axle.
The Americans must hold the Germans until reinforcements arrive.
So what I've come up with, also, it's been a while back now, pilots, but if you'll watch some of Rich, the RC Informer's videos, it'll show you how to put a little bit of glue right on the end of each of the nuts of your landing gear. And LX model has done that on these. They put a little bit of glue on. Let's see.
Boston native Rocky Blunt and the Army's 84th Infantry Division
And
occupying foxholes
I've laid my glasses
ice
down.
and snow. For days, they have succeeded in holding their positions against the Germans.
Now on the other side, my lock screws would slip just a little bit.
Constantly covered with a blanket of snow and ice.
So I would put my pair of vice grips on that little nut. Not putting too much pressure on it now. You don't want to put too much pressure on this stuff. This ain't nothing but Chinese metal.
Are wearing the same clothes they were in when they arrived in Europe back in the summer and fall months. While some Allied units received winter gear,
Now I take a pair of needle nose and I'm going to just turn this one. And whichever one breaks free loose, if that set screw's not tight, whichever one breaks free loose will turn.
We don't have overcoats. We don't have gloves or scarves. When one of our men goes down, there's nothing else we can do. We strip our own dead. It's a very difficult thing
To steal from a dead GI, an American. You never touched his watch, you never touched his wallet, you never touched anything personal. But anything that had been issued by the Army, you stripped him of it. Because you kept saying to yourself, the poor bastard, he doesn't need it anymore. I do. I've got to try and stay alive for a couple of days.
That's the way it was, pilots.
When will it be my turn to be
That's
picked
war.
up? When will I be the next dead GI?
I got one coming off here on the other side. It's got to be, because this one ain't moving. Yeah, that hurt me.
This next operation looks to be the most decisive of them all.
Was that nut there? So we don't want to lose that.
What we started on Tarawa. And the whole damn Central Pacific campaign.
We don't want to lose that.
At least this time, no one's promising a short battle.
Now remember I told you that set screw was loose on that side. Well, it was on this side because this nut here come off first, so that means our whole axle was turning here.
Nimitz's massive flotilla in the
They've
anchorage
got
of Ulithi, an atoll in the Carolina
a
Islands.
large nut in here if I was a spacer.
For the past 2 years,
I also have
the Pacific War for Time and
a
Life
magnetized
magazines,
screwdriver here. A small washer, thin washer in there.
Saipan and Iwo Jima.
But we're not going to need the thin washer no
For
more.
the invasion of Okinawa. next campaign in the push toward Japan.
We're gonna get this axle all the way out here. Take that thin washer off of it. Take that large nut off of it. Take our old wheel off. I mean, that ain't nothing but hard plastic, pal. Hard plastic.
It's going to be the biggest thing we've attempted in the Pacific. And the last stop before Tokyo.
Take our new wheel.
Located only 350 miles south of Japan.
Take that large nut.
Provide the Americans
Put
with
it
a
on.
staging area for the men and materials necessary to launch an invasion of the Japanese mainland.
Yeah.
Defending the island are more
This
than
nut here.
100,000 Japanese and conscripted Okinawans.
Some like it like with nut, and some
They
don't.
are to save
But
their
this one
homelands
does.
from attack. They must stop the Americans from seizing Okinawa.
Note the little bit of it that's sticking out of the nut there. See, just a hair, and I'm trying to get it in there. It's wanting to focus. So it's just out of the nut, just a hair. But I've got to level that up. I need that little bit of space there for the links. Take my vice grips. Let me see how I got the closing here. Grab a hold of that axle. Try not to damage it.
No matter how many times you're a part of a landing like this, you're never ready. This time the stakes seem bigger, and so does the invasion force. But yet, somehow I still feel uneasy.
I just want
As if we're not going in big enough.
to get that out there level. Couple turns.
If you're heading down to Louisiana, be sure to check out the Atchafalaya River Basin and see how it's done in Cajun country. Take a tour of the Atchafalaya Swamp and check out the scenery offered down on the
Get
bayou.
that old glue
This
off of it.
postcard from America
When we
is
put
brought to you by Expedia.
epoxy back on.
At your fingertips. Download the Expedia app today.
Did you know that DirecTV has 4K, the best picture format available? It's like a theater quality experience in your home. But don't just take my word for it. Take it straight from my horse's mouth.
Actually, that was
Put your axle back in.
I was concentrating on my walking. I got 4 legs, so I was like front left, front right, back left, back
Get our
right.
large nut
It's
back on it.
more complicated than you have
Put a
to
new
do.
tire on.
Everything constant about the real estate market is change, which means it's changing.
Uh-oh.
You need an app
There goes my
constantly
magnetized
changing
screwdriver.
things. Oh, look, here's one here. Realtor.com.
The
Real
B-2
estate
so stealthy tools can't even lay on top of it.
Nature, and viewer discretion is advised.
Oh, come on now. I knew it. Sometimes when you put the side on it, had the glue on it, it won't go on there. Okay. Scrape that glue off.
The early reports are we've taken minimal casualties from isolated enemy
Looking pretty good there.
2 killed, 9 wounded.
Gotta put my epoxy on the ends. Now,
This is hard to believe.
these landing gears got these strings tied to it so that when the landing gear goes down, the wheels will fold out right inside the bay. They want them wheels to be down flat. Now I noticed. I mean, there's plenty of room pots in here. I mean, you can put a tire on there 3 times that size and get it down in here. So we're not worried about the bay. I just wanted to make sure the clearance in between each the tires would be good.
Tanks charge up the hills and bulldozers cut inland to make roads.
So we gotta open up our power vice grips here.
Surprise them. But they must be here. Somewhere.
Grab a hold of that
Almost immediately, 2 Army divisions move inland and overrun Kadena Airfield to the south of the Bishigawa River. Meanwhile, 2 Marine divisions take Yonton Airfield to the north. By noon, Okinawa's 2 main airstrips
Trying to hold
are in
it
the
up
hands
off of
the
that door.
Americans. Sherrod travels to Yonton to report from a command post
No,
along
that
the
wasn't
newly
supposed to happen.
established front
There's
lines.
LX for you pilots. I bet you that screw's coming out
When he
of that.
arrives,
Damn it, now where did
he
that
sees
screw go?
hundreds of native Okinawans turning themselves over to the Marines.
Well, at least it happened
This is
here.
not the fanatical opposition we expected.
I got all these strings tied to everything.
These natives seem to be the most miserable people who inhabit the earth.
Goodness gracious.
Considered inferior by their Japanese occupiers, the Okinawan people have been subjected to starvation, torture, and even murder at the hands of the Japanese.
Trying to find that set screw.
Those who managed to escape eagerly seek refuge with the Americans.
I don't see it.
Many of them have leprosy. Others suffer from malnutrition. Even those who believed the Japs when they said the barbarous Americans would murder them are now grateful for the food they receive.
A few miles from Sherrod and the refugees, newly promoted Corporal Nolan Marbury and the 1st Marine Division are on the outskirts of Yonton Airfield. As the first day of the invasion draws to a close, the men are on edge. The Japanese are notorious for attacking at night, and the Americans fear they are easy targets.
I see a glint of light, and then another.
Man, I wished I could see that screw somewhere.
Someone nearby shouts, "Oh my God, what have we done?" I can't believe it. I expected Jap troops, instead the ground is littered with dead civilians. Corpsmen are out tending to the wounded. Those who can be helped anyway.
Attempting to escape the
I might have to
Japanese
go with my
under
old
cover
trick
of
pots and put a
darkness.
screw in that
A
hole like
number
I did
of
on my
native Okinawans unknowingly wandered in front of the Marine lines.
F-22.
Believing they were under a bonsai attack, Marbury and the Marines opened fire.
Not gonna be that one.
The corpsman
Goodness
looked
gracious,
up
that's gonna be a big,
from his
big.
dead mother's arms.
What was happening to that thing? I'm gonna have to pick the plane up, flip it over, and see if I can get that thing to fall out between inside the plane. Things you do for RC.
It's a horrible sight.
And I've got to keep an eye out of what I want to do.
I pull myself together for the sake of my men. It can't be helped, I tell them. We're fighting for our lives in a foreign land. It's kill or be killed, you understand? But I can't help but
Nice,
think to
clean,
myself,
white cloth here down the ground.
oh my God.
Instead of my glue, spotted, painted, different 3-colored carpet.
Blunt and the 84th Infantry Division are enduring the frozen hell of the Ardennes forest. They're still awaiting a German counterattack. Since the battle in the Ardennes began 2 weeks ago, the winter weather has incapacitated both combatants, handicapping American air power and constricting the mobility of the German assault force. Temperatures are well below freezing, and the cold is claiming lives and limbs.
This is beyond what any man should be forced to endure. If I wasn't already frozen to death, I'd let myself wonder when this will end. I don't want to close my eyes, but I have no choice. I'm too exhausted. When I open my eyes, it might be morning. I'm not sure.
I tried to get out of the hole, and my legs were frozen into a block of ice, up just almost to the knees. And when I yelled for help because I couldn't stand up, and that my other soldiers in my unit came by with bayonets and started chopping the ice away from my legs to try and free me from this solid coating of ice in the bottom of the defile.
Well, pilots, I've lost the
And
script.
when they finally lifted me bodily out of the hole with ice still clinging to my legs, they were trying to stand me up, and as soon as they did, I'd collapse and fall down. I could not stand up. And they put me in an ambulance and took me away.
Rocky Blunt is evacuated to a hospital on line
MIA.
the American lines. There, doctors diagnose him with a condition known as trench foot. Caused by cold, unsanitary conditions, trench foot can impair the flow of blood to the feet. If untreated, the condition can lead to frostbite, and in a worst-case scenario, amputation.
I heard 2 doctors talking about amputating my feet. And I started crying like a baby, pleading with them, do not take my feet. I'm a musician, I'm a drummer, I need my feet, please don't take my feet. And this impassioned crying, they listened, they said, we'll give it another day or 2 and see if there's any improvement. And there was a little improvement apparently, because they did not amputate, but they did keep me in the hospital until I could stand up, and then I was immediately returned to my unit. To this day, 65 years later, they haven't healed properly yet.
The first 5 days on Okinawa have been sensational. We've unloaded twice as many supplies as expected. Casualties are light too. 175 killed and less than 1,000 wounded.
After reporting from the front lines during the first days of the Okinawa invasion, correspondent Robert Sherrod is on a ship anchored off the island. He's filing a story for Time magazine when the Japanese, who have been relatively silent, suddenly strike.
Oh, yeah, pilots, I didn't think I was gonna find a screw big enough.
In an attempt to strand 180,000 troops ashore, the Japanese launch a vicious attack on the U.S. fleet, raining death from the skies.
Everything moves on this thing. Can't hold on to that.
First hurled kamikazes at American
Get the
warships
spring
months
up in
earlier,
there.
this time it's not just a few planes, but hundreds.
Got my springs on the strings pulling me, sliding it on here. There's my suspension moving.
For the next 48 hours, the Japanese launched nearly 900 aircraft. They sank 11 U.S. ships.
You gotta be holding it just right, Pops. I mean, just right. You can't over tighten it, it'll hold you sharp. So for right now, I'm gonna put that screw in there, but it's gonna work. But I've got it a little tight so it'll hold that thing in there. But that screw right there is gonna work. Goodness gracious, don't you look at there.
More than 2,000 Japanese planes will attack the American.
Just look at the size of that screw. Trying to get it to lay down.
U.S. sailors will be killed.
That's a pretty big screw going that landing gear. Okay. For the love of Pete, we got them two done. Our landing gear flew apart when we was going for number 2.
Burning gasoline surrounds us. The war isn't
I
over.
got my new free light on my head now here, looking down. Let me get her aimed a little bit better. I'm gonna really turn some power on here. Oh yeah.
The kamikaze has become Japan's most lethal weapon against our Navy. For once, I feel safer on land.
Tough to get a hold of.
After barely surviving
Oh,
a
gosh.
kamikaze raid
Nuts.
offshore, Robert Sherrod
Especially
arrives
when
back
they get
on
glue
Okinawa.
all over them.
While he was offshore, Army units began to push south toward the capital city of Naha, where they are encountering heavy resistance.
Casualties on shore are rising, especially among the Army divisions on the southern line.
Now this front set on the rear mains, look if I didn't drop in that.
To help support the battered GIs, Marines from the north are redeployed south. They are now approaching the
There
main
was a little
Japanese
bit
defensive position. Known
Tougher to
as the
get that
Shuriken.
wheel over the
Extending across the southern
landing
end of the
gear
island,
door here.
running from Naha on the west coast to Yanagabaru on the east coast.
So what I would do,
Shuri line runs
make sure
through
my
the
axle was
ridges
free
and
moving in and out.
Shuri Castle. There, heavily
Okay,
armed enemy
that one's
defenders
not.
wait for the Americans to walk into
That
their
one's pretty
fields
tight
of
there.
fire.
But mind this string on this screw. Don't loosen it up so much that string goes flying. You just want that axle to move right out. You don't want nothing else going out.
I have no desire. to
Alright,
see
and I'm getting
more
it out far enough to where that nut and that little washer I got to take off is exposed. Keep pushing the axle out, not the tire.
I've been following the Central Pacific campaign for so long that it sometimes feels like I've never written about anything except
Holding
war.
on to that little nut and washer on one side while pulling the axle out with the tire clear of the door. Just like so.
After almost 3 years,
Trying not to lose that
from the front lines,
nut. I ain't worried about the washer, I just want that nut.
decides his days in the combat
So
zone.
sometimes I feel like a nut, and sometimes I don't. And I do right now. I need my nut. Alright, now we've got an LX model wheel here. It's got a washer on it that we don't need. Let's get a nut on it we need. Keep them two nuts. Take our tire off. Now when I was pulling that thing out, it looked bent. It ain't bent. It's straight. Okay. Now again, we've got a little bit sticking out the nut there that we've got to level out.
All around me is the carnage of smashed and burned tanks. I can't believe it. It looks like we're beating the Germans in the Ardennes.
4 days after being medically evacuated from the front lines in Belgium's Ardennes
Just
forest,
enough to
Rocky Blunt returns to the Army's 84th
just get that
Infantry
level
Division.
there. Because you need the length of the axle to be as long as it can for these two
The
new tires.
Americans launched a large counteroffensive against the Germans. As Allied air power struck the German supply lines, American units pushed north, while British units pushed south.
I've got nothing on the end here. I put my tire on, put my nut on.
In early
Bend
January,
the suspension back as far as I can get it. Oh,
And by the
didn't
end of
stay
the
on.
month, the engagement, nicknamed the Battle of the Bulge, is declared over.
now remember, I'm gonna bring a good finger pinch and leave that wheel there.
With more than
Bring my
19,000
suspension up.
American soldiers killed,
Slide it
over
in.
60,000 captured or wounded. Despite the considerable losses, the surviving American forces are reinvigorated by the resounding victory.
Okay.
The Allies are ready
Get
for
my
the
other
final
nut,
push into
oversized
German
nut, put
territory.
it on. That's just like a spacer in between there, pilot, so your wheel won't rub.
There are no front lines anymore. No company or battalion boundaries. No safe or unsafe sectors.
Find my lug nut here.
But so are we. The tide's turned. Now we are on the offensive. The Germans are on the run. It's so close. We can feel it.
That's actual interviews with people that was there, pilots, soldiers, nurses, officers. They had one officer on there, I think he was a lieutenant, because he came right out of college. And every time the man would hit the beach or get off of a boat, he'd get wounded. He'd go and spend time in the hospital. Get back to his men. They hit Africa there. They was on a scout mission, recon.
Forces retreating.
They got pinned down by
Goes to a Black Sea resort
MG-44 machine gun Germans up on the top of a hill there. Had a high position on them.
and
He got
Soviet
cut up
Premier
there.
Joseph Stalin.
Lost about 3 of his
Allied
men.
leaders are discussing plans for the final
He
offensive
healed up.
against the Nazis.
They hit the beaches in Normandy. Heck, he didn't even get off the ship. German 109 scraped the ship, blooded, shot him in his leg, and shot his commanding officer there on the deck of the ship. He healed up, went back out, went on another recon mission. Got upset with the British commander there, and he told him to go to hell. So he went out and looked for the 9th Armored Division. Come across some Germans there. Now they won the battle, but he got injured again. Got wounded again. The man got wounded 4 times. Came home. Said he made love to his wife, and 9 months to that day, had his first son. And he says to the camera, looked straight at the camera, said, true story. That was a man there, boys. That was a man.
Germans are in full retreat now.
Okay, now I'm not gonna bother you with the front wheel, same procedure. But like I said, these wheels will touch a little bit, but that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm a piece of sandpaper. I got to get me a new piece of coarse sandpaper.
Through German towns destroyed by Allied bombing raids. Along the way, they accept the surrender of entire battalions of German troops, no longer willing or able to fight.
Hold that there. Hold your bottom wheel, but turn your top wheel there a little bit. It just kind of scrape it there a little bit. It's just like putting a little use on them.
Then they can find their own way home.
Putting a little use on them. Turn back this way.
An outburst of emotion.
If there was some way I could true them, I'd do it. Put a razor blade there, lay a razor blade down flat, and just kind of skim them. But that's something tough to do there, Pop. But I got those over there done on the other side, and I put it on the ground, and it did kind of break it a little bit. But I believe they're gonna work. I believe they're gonna be just fine. Just fine.
Our food, whatever we had, they had absolutely nothing.
They're eager to go home. But I know they have no home to go to.
Let me show you that screw to come out. Uh-oh. My wonderful
While the
camera
Allies
stand
crushed
here.
Hitler's plans for a 1,000-year Reich, American forces in the Pacific pound Japan's home islands.
Okay, this one right here has come out. That's the Allen head on the other one. I'm gonna change it out. I got the other one there.
December 7th,
I had to do that with my
Japan brought America
F-22, and I've got to take them back out and put me a little Loctite on them.
Now, the Americans are
Not too
launching
bad.
B-29 bombing
Not too
missions
bad.
every day, targeting Japanese cities. From
And then
10,000 feet, the
I gotta
end
put them on the
appears
front
near.
here.
But on the ground, soldiers and Marines
Oh,
are entrenched
stranger
in a
alert.
fight that's getting more vicious with each passing day.
Okay, pilots. There's my new wheels on
The push south
the B-2
cross country.
LX models. I'm out.